Right. Can I? We finished the war last time, isn't it? Ashwatthama's gem taken by Krishna. Bhima gives it to Draupadi. We finished the war, right? Should we just quickly review the war? All the 18 days? What major events?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so how does the war start? Anyone want to start with me?
Oh my gosh.
Quickly. How many kind of battalions do the Kauravas have? What is the ratio of battalions?
Is it 11 for Parva?
Yeah, Pandavas?
6, 7?
7. Yeah. Hey guys, you can just speak. You don't have to raise your hands. Okay, just unmute and talk. All right, so on the first day, does Bhagavad Gita happen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
Because Arjuna doesn't want to fight his family.
Yeah. So go on, Pranavi, go on.
So yeah, Arjuna doesn't want to fight with his own cousins and family, etc. So Krishna says the Bhagavad Gita to encourage him.
Okay, perfect. All right, so day 1, day 2, day 3 goes by. What happens on day 3? Does Krishna get off the chariot? So day 3, you know how Arjuna is not fighting Bhishma to the fullest extent, where he's not really using all his skills, because he's still thinking about, oh, Bhishma is my grandfather, so I shouldn't really fight with him. Well, Krishna gets off his chariot, right, with his Sudarshan Chakra and all that, and he goes towards Bhishma, and then Arjuna has to try and stop him. So that's a major event on day 3. Now day 4, day 5, day 6, Arjuna starts fighting better. Day 7, day 8. What happens day 8? One of Arjuna's sons, what's his name? Airavan, he dies. Arjuna goes back to being how he is. So on the 9th day, he's not fighting as he should, and Krishna gets off his chariot again, right? So that's on that day he takes the whip in his hand. It's not a Sudarshan Chakra. And again, Arjuna stops him. They go and then talk to Bhishma that night. Following day, with Shikandi's help and with Arjuna's bow and arrows, and Bhishma actually deciding to give up his life, falls down that day. Okay, so that is the 10th day. Then Drona on the 11th day becomes the commander-in-chief. War goes on. First day, second day, third day. They're actually trying to capture Yudhishthira, but Chakravyuha, Abhimanyu goes in. And he's killed illegally that day. He has the best day ever. He is a warrior that's unparalleled that day, but he's killed with all these big, great warriors fighting with him at once. Arjuna takes a vow on the 14th day, with the help of Lord Krishna, he kills Jayadratha. Then that night, the war continues, and Ghatotkacha is killed in a great war with the Kauravas. Karna kills him with Shakti. On the 15th day, Drona, he's killed. Why? Because he goes on a rampage, using weapons he shouldn't, fighting a battle that the way he shouldn't. He doesn't stop despite all the rishis telling him. He only stops when Bhima finally stops him. Questions his ethics. that's when he stops and he gives up his body. Drishtadyumna severs his head. So day 16, Karna becomes the commander-in-chief. On day 17, Karna is killed. So is Dushasana. Day 18, the battle is over, and finally Duryodhana is killed that night. And the following night, Ashwatthama kills all the Panchalas and Draupadi's 5 sons. And then the Pandavas, Bhima goes to take revenge. Arjuna and Ashwatthama over there, they release a certain weapon that's not supposed to be released. Narada and Vedvyasa, they intervene. Arjuna draws his arrow back. Ashwatthama doesn't. As a result of that, he's cursed by Krishna that he'll live for 3,000 years without a friend, without anyone helping him, and he'll be diseased. So that's a curse he receives. The way he kills all of them is quite dreadful. So that's why he's cursed. Now I think we finished over there. That then the next part of the story is Stree Parva. This is not a very big chapter. We'll go through it a little bit, and then Shanti Parva is not much. It is actually one of the biggest books, but I can't explain everything in there because it's more advice, one person talking to the other, and you'll really be bored if I go on through that episode. Anyway, so 19th night, Duryodhana is given the information by Ashwatthama that all the Panchalas are killed, Draupadi's sons are killed, etc. He's very happy. He says to Ashwatthama that he did what Bhishma, Drona, and Karna couldn't do, so he's very happy, and he finally gives up his life there. Ashwatthama is then the following day he's found in Vedvyasa's ashram. Actually, Kritavarma goes back to his country because he's scared now of the Pandavas, and so is Kripacharya. He goes back to Hastinapur to seek refuge there. But Ashwatthama is killed. Sorry, not killed, but Ashwatthama is found by the Pandavas, and like we said, he's cursed at the end for his cruel deeds. Now all this has happened. It is time for Dhritarashtra to come to the battlefield to complete their last rites. So this is where this Stree Parva starts. Before coming, Dhritarashtra is very sad. He knows that his son is killed. All the 100 sons are killed. The great warriors are dead, and he's very sorrowful. So Vidura here, there's a few chapters of his advice. He advises Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra finally is consoled a little bit, not completely, but consoled a little bit, and he decides he's going to call all the women because now they're widows. They have to go into the battlefield to for the last rites. So when he calls them, the women start coming one after another. They're all their hair is disheveled. Their clothes are like as if they don't care. Usually the princesses and their servants and all usually well dressed, but in this case they are not. They're quite sad, and they make their way to the battlefield. Here at the battlefield, there's a camp set up for Dhritarashtra, and the Pandavas go to meet Dhritarashtra. Very hesitantly, Yudhishthira first approaches Dhritarashtra, and he says, "Look, I'm the reason for Duryodhana's death and all that, and but I'm hoping we can still move on from here." So Dhritarashtra is sad, but he still artificially embraces Yudhishthira. And then soon after that, he starts asking for Bhima. He says, "Oh, where is Bhima? Where is Bhima? I want to hug him." Krishna immediately realizes that this is not normal for Dhritarashtra. Earlier, Krishna would have uh, Krishna has organized some sculptors to build a iron statue of Bhima. So he stops Bhima immediately from approaching Dhritarashtra, and he asks Bhima to put the statue in front of Dhritarashtra. Immediately, Dhritarashtra hugs, and he hugs that iron statue so hard that it crushes under his strength. Okay, when this happens, you can see bruises on Dhritarashtra's body, and even his mouth it's bleeding. So he's used his entire strength to crush that iron statue. And then he starts lamenting. All of a sudden he starts feeling sorry for Bhima. He says, "Oh Bhima, have I killed you? Have I hurt you?" Now the reason Dhritarashtra does all that is because he's still upset about the 100 sons being killed by Bhima. Finally, Krishna comes and tells, "You haven't done anything." When he realizes that Dhritarashtra is not sincere, he tells, "No, not Bhima is still alive. What I gave you was an iron statue." And then finally, Dhritarashtra actually hugs Bhima, and then he hugs Arjuna and the others, and he blesses them. Next, the Pandavas go and meet Gandhari. Gandhari is in tears. She's sad. She can hear all the wailing of the women, and she's sad that her sons are killed. She wants to curse the Pandavas. Just then, Vedvyasa comes in. He knows Gandhari's intentions, and he stops her and he tells, "You cannot curse the Pandavas. All right? It was a war. These things happened, and you need to move on." Then she realizes that she shouldn't curse them. It was a war. But then she questions Bhima. Okay, she says, "Bhima, didn't you do the wrong thing by hitting Duryodhana on the thighs?" So then Bhima is very diplomatic here. He says, "Look, Bhima knows that he's stronger than Duryodhana, and at the time he would have lost the battle with Duryodhana because Duryodhana was more well rehearsed or well trained. But in front of Gandhari, he tells, look, I was scared. I didn't want to lose to Duryodhana. That is why I used means that you seem to think is inappropriate to win the battle." And then Vedvyasa says it wasn't illegal, and he gives his reasons. So that part is over. Then she brings up the part where he drinks Dushasana's blood. So Bhima again tells, look, I know you are upset about that. I am not supposed to drink the blood of my enemies, but I had taken an oath that I will tear his chest and drink his blood. And even in the battlefield, Karna has witnessed what I did. I touched the blood to my lips and I smeared myself with it, but I did not drink. The blood did not go past my lips. Okay, so I can assure you I did not drink his blood. I wasn't that cruel. I just needed to psychologically stun the enemies. So this explanation goes on, and finally Gandhari gives up, and she blesses Bhima, and then Yudhishthira comes in front of her and he wants to take her blessing. So he bows down to touch her feet. Guess what? Gandhari, she's not really blind, but she's really meditated, she's prayed, so she's got some sort of strength in her eyes, which she's never used. That day, she actually sees from the bottom of the blindfold, she actually sees Yudhishthira's hands coming close to her feet. And when she sees rays, energy rays from her eyes burn Yudhishthira's fingernails. Okay, and she apologizes immediately. She says, "I'm really sorry. I'm really sad. I'm upset about my son's dying. I did not mean to." So that episode goes by, and then she blesses all the Pandavas and she moves on. The Pandavas go to Kunti's camp. They haven't seen her in a long time now. Kunti is very glad to see the Pandavas, but she's very sad also for Draupadi. Draupadi is also there. So then this Kunti and Gandhari also comes there, and they're consoling Draupadi. So while all this happens, Gandhari then leaves, and she starts hearing all the Kaurava women crying. They are in despair. There's a lot of pain in the this one. She realizes that there are dead bodies on the battlefield. There's animals that are killed. There's heads on the floor without a body. There's bodies without heads. There's animals, crows coming and eating off the bodies. And these Kaurava women, they have gone and they're trying to find their partners. Finally, Duryodhana's wife finds her husband, and she's actually lying down on his corpse, crying and wailing. Gandhari can't take all this. There is so much uh, in the air, that in this so much sadness in the air. She's not able to take it. She starts uh, crying and she starts complaining about what's happened. Krishna tries to console her. He tells, "Look, it was Duryodhana's fault. This is what happened. Had you not controlled them, none of this would have happened." Uh, and then she goes on talking about the war. So this goes on for a few chapters. She starts talking about who died. She mentions all her sons' names. She mentions all the great warriors' names. And she goes on for a while. And at the end, she starts thinking, Krishna, you could have stopped everyone. Why didn't you? Okay. Both parties would have listened. Krishna says, I tried. Gandhar says, not hard enough. You were the only one who could have stopped. And I'm now very angry with you. Okay. And I curse you. Curse that in 36 years, just like you've seen the Kauravas and the Pandavas kill each other, your own family, your own dynasty will kill each other. So she curses him. Immediately Krishna smiles. Okay. Krishna smiles and says, O Gandhari, nobody can destroy the Yadavas. Yadavas is his dynasty. There's others, Andhakas, Vrishnis, etc. They're all one clan. No one can destroy this clan. And I know that. And I also know that the only way these people can be destroyed is when they fight amongst themselves. And I know even before you've told, there is something in place. These people are already arrogant. Okay, the Yadavas, the Vrishnis, they're all very arrogant because they think they're invincible, etc. So eventually they will fight and they will die. And this will happen in 36 years. Even before you curse, this was going to happen. So you wasted all your tapasya, all your energy on this cursing me. You should have done something good with all the energy you had. Anyway, now that you've cursed, that will definitely happen. That was destined to happen even without your curse. So that phase passes by. Gandhari feels really sad that she cursed him, but she was that despondent. She was sad beyond words that she did not have control on her senses, and that's why she cursed Krishna. She tells him that. Now, after this episode, Dhritarashtra now wants to organize wants Yudhishthira to organize all the last rites for all the warriors. It's a massive undertaking, but Yudhishthira starts undertaking this task, and he Dhritarashtra here asks Yudhishthira, okay, all these people have died in the battlefield. Where will they go? So then Yudhishthira explains to him, the people who fought a valiant war and died, okay, who were not afraid, who died in the battle, they will go to Indraloka. Indraloka is Indra's abode. Those who fought in the battle for the sake of it, okay, but were not really all out to fight in the battle, they will go into the Gandharva Loka. Those who were scared of death, they will go into a different Loka. So he explains all this, and Dhritarashtra asks him, how do you know all this? And he says, well, when I was in the forest, there was a rishi called Lomaka Maharishi who came to visit us and explained a lot of things. And some of these things are what I'm explaining to you. So that's how he knows that. Anyway, moving on from there, when they're doing the last rites, when it comes to Karna, Kunti steps in. And Kunti then explains to Yudhishthira that Karna is your elder brother. Okay, we have to do the last rites properly. Yudhishthira is shocked. So are all the Pandavas. And Yudhishthira recovers. Then he calls all the relatives of Karna. He gets all the ladies there. They have to give water, jala. They have to give that. So accordingly, they do all those rituals. And now it's time for them to return to Hastinapur. But Yudhishthira does not want to go. So this is where the Stree Parva ends. Stree Parva is where all the women are lamenting, etc. Yudhishthira is now very sad. He starts blaming himself for the destruction. He doesn't want to go and become the king. He actually wants to go into the forest. This is the Shanti Parva, and this is one of the biggest books in Mahabharata, but I'll finish it in 5 minutes because of the amount of stuff that's only advice there. I won't go into too much of it. So here, Yudhishthira just wants to go into the forest. He wants to give up everything. He starts thinking like how Arjuna was feeling before the war. What happens after these people die? But now all the people are dead. Yudhishthira is feeling sad. So then Narada comes in and starts giving him some advice. He also tells him story of Karna. Okay, he tells, oh, Karna when he was born. This one we didn't cover, but most of it we have done, so I won't go into too much detail. But Karna, when he was young, and he saw the Pandavas, he saw Yudhishthira very intelligent, he saw Bhima is very strong, he saw Arjuna is really talented and he was very focused. He saw Nakula and Sahadeva who were really very obedient and very skillful. He was very jealous of the Pandavas. That is why he joined the ranks of Duryodhana. And whatever followed after that, this is the story that's told to Yudhishthira. Why? Because Yudhishthira is now sad for Karna too, being his elder brother. After that, Yudhishthira is still not convinced. Then Krishna, Bhishma steps in. Sorry. They go to Bhishma. Bhishma gives him a lot of advice. Arjuna gives him advice. Bhima gives him advice. Draupadi gives him advice. Sahadeva, Nakula also get involved. Krishna gets involved. Finally, Vedvyasa gets involved. So there's a lot of discussion that goes on, and I don't want to bore you with all of that. That is why I'm just skipping through all of that. Okay, so there's a lot of advice on how he should go and back and be the king, etc. So there's finally Yudhishthira, he relents, he gives in, and he's ready to become the king. Okay, he goes in. It's about a month after the battle now that he goes into Hastinapur. There's a lot of celebration, decorations, etc. And people are happy that Yudhishthira is now the king over there. Yudhishthira, what he does is, as soon as he takes oath, he says, I am your king, yes. Okay, but I want Dhritarashtra to be the emperor. Why? I will take his advice on any action I take. I still revere him. I want everyone over here to respect him just like I respect him. So here Yudhishthira is still feeling guilty about the war. Anyway, he takes oath and he starts giving others responsibilities. Bhima becomes Yuvaraja, which is the next in line to the throne. Sanjay, who is narrating the war to Dhritarashtra, he is given finances. Nakula is given the army to look after. Arjuna is the strategic army chief. Daumya becomes the guru to all the brahmanas, and he's making sure the culture and other aspects of the kingdom is looked after. Sahadeva becomes the first lieutenant to Yudhishthira himself, and Dhritarashtra obviously becomes the king. So there's a lot of responsibility that's given, and Krishna and Yudhishthira starts ruling the kingdom. But there's still a few things that are not right with him, and I'll stop that here because we go into Bhishma Parva. That's also one of Anushasan Parva, and after that, there's a few other things which are more interesting. I'll stop here for now, and if you have any questions, I'll answer those.